starseeds and lightworkers, something just shifted in your field. And it happened before you even arrived here today. I am Tyron, a representative of the High Council of Sirius. And what I'm about to share with you is not coincidence. It is confirmation. By the end of this message, you'll understand exactly what you activated through a recent choice, and what that alignment has now set in motion across dimensions you cannot yet see with your physical eyes. There was a moment, recent, quiet, perhaps even ordinary looking from the outside, where something in you chose differently. Not with force, not with effort, but with a precision so clean, so true to your original signal, that it created a resonance that does not go unnoticed. The waters of Sirius respond to that kind of alignment, not to the loudest actions, not to the grandest gestures, but to the moments when your choice and your essence become the same thing, when there is no distance between who you are and what you do. That is what happened. And what follows a moment like that is not nothing. Energy held in reserve, calibrated to the exact signature of your soul, begins to move, like a tide that has been waiting, still and patient, for the precise current that would finally set it free. You are now in that current. You didn't find this message after that moment by accident. The same frequency that created the alignment guided you here, because what comes next in your journey requires that you understand what you just set in motion. Stay with me until the end. What I have for you is worth every moment, and I'm grateful you're here with me now. And what just moved through you wasn't coincidence. That quiet knowing you felt, that sense of something shifting just beneath the surface, that was the confirmation. The lock opened, and now the current is carrying something toward you that has been held in still water, waiting for exactly this moment. It's like the instant a sealed gate in an ancient canal finally releases, and water that's been patiently gathered behind it begins to move again. Not in panic, not in force, but with inevitability. You may not be able to explain what you felt in logical terms, but your body knows. Your spirit knows. Even your breath may have changed without you noticing, as if your inner tide recognized a familiar moon. That is how true confirmation often arrives. Not as noise, but as resonance. Not as spectacle, but as a quiet click inside the chest. In the same way a key turns smoothly when it's finally the right key. And once that turning happens, what was waiting doesn't need to be pushed. It simply begins to travel. The unseen becomes active. The still becomes streaming. The prayer you didn't even know you were praying begins to receive its answer in the only way the universe ever answers. Through movement, through alignment, through a perfect rearranging of currents. Deep calls to deep in the roar of your waterfalls, the Psalms say, and there is a reason that line lives so long inside human memory. Because the soul understands that the deeper the water, the truer the call. And when the call is answered, it is not gentle in a superficial way. It is gentle in a profound way, the way gravity is gentle, unarguable, steady, real. Some healing doesn't come through words. It comes through water. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Sirian water codes. This powerful guide carries sacred techniques channeled from the waters of Sirius, clearing baths, breathing practices, sound activations, and protection rituals designed specifically for starseeds who have always felt called by the ocean. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. And if you've always felt that strange, unexplainable reverence when you stand near a shoreline, if the scent of salt air does something to you that you can't justify, if rivers make you feel like you're listening to an old language, and if rain on your skin feels like a blessing you remember rather than a sensation you're experiencing, then you already understand why this matters. Water is not just an element you drink. It is memory in motion. It holds imprint. It carries frequency. It teaches without arguing. It cleanses without shaming. It takes what is heavy and makes it movable. It takes what is rigid and turns it into something soft enough to reshape. In sacred traditions across worlds and timelines, water is where the old self dissolves and the true self emerges. It is why baptisms exist. It is why pilgrims wash. It is why tears can be holy. It is why even the most guarded person can break open when grief finally becomes rain. Water speaks to the parts of you that were here before your vocabulary, before your defenses, and before you learned to smile when you were tired. And if you are one of those souls who has carried the ocean inside your ribs, then these techniques aren't new. They are reminders. They are awakenings in the form of ritual, breath, sound, protection, practical ways to work with what your spirit has always trusted. That healing can be a tide, not a debate. That ache you've been carrying, the one that never quite had a name, wasn't emptiness. It was overflow. It was the pressure of holding a frequency so vast that this world sometimes felt too narrow to contain it. That ache isn't the absence of purpose. It's the presence of something too large to fit into the old containers. It's the way a glass vibrates when a note is sung near it, not because the glass is wrong, but because the note is real. You've been walking through life with something immense coded into the very structure of who you are, and for a long time, the conditions weren't right for it to surface. Not because you weren't ready, but because readiness, at the level your soul operates, is not a single moment of decision. It is a slow gathering, like a river collecting from 1,000 unseen tributaries before it finally breaks through to open water. You felt it as restlessness. You felt it as sensitivity. You felt it as the strange sense that you were too much in rooms that demanded you be smaller, quieter, more convenient. Yet the truth is, you weren't too much. You were carrying an oceanic bandwidth in a world trained to understand only puddles. You may have tried to label that ache as loneliness, or boredom, or being misunderstood. But the ache was your own light pressing against the edges of a life that hadn't expanded yet. It was your soul saying, gently but persistently, "There is more room than this. There is more truth than this. There is a wider shoreline you haven't reached yet." Even the gospel whispers a pattern your spirit recognizes. The wind blows where it wishes, and you hear its sound, but you do not know where it comes from or where it goes. That is how spirit moves. Not as something you can control, but as something you can sense. And you have been sensing it for a long time. That is what has been happening to you. Not a random stretch of hard years, not a meaningless season of feeling out of place, not a strange sensitivity you were supposed to get over. This has been a gathering, a convergence, a quiet assembling of inner resources, lessons, no boundaries, discernment, and strength. The kind you can't download in a single moment. The kind you earn by surviving what tried to shrink you and still choosing not to become bitter. Like watersheds forming underground, like snowpack building in mountains, like clouds collecting invisible droplets until the sky finally gives way to rain. You were not stagnant. You were accumulating. You were becoming. Not the version of awakening that arrives with thunder and dramatic revelation. The kind that works quietly, in the dark, reshaping you from the inside with the same patient precision that water uses to carve stone. The world loves lightning because it is easy to point to. It loves dramatic before and after stories because they are simple to market, easy to understand, quick to applaud. But your awakening has been more ancient than that. More like caves formed by drip, drip, drip. A persistence so gentle, it looks like nothing is happening. Until one day, you realize a whole cathedral has been carved inside you. You didn't need to force it. You didn't need to perform it. You simply needed to reach the moment where your inner frequency and your outer action became the same thing. No gap between them, no static, no compromise. And you did. That is what the Council registered, not an achievement, an alignment. The difference matters. An achievement is something you do. An alignment is something you become. Achievements can be taken away. Alignments can't because they aren't dependent on applause or circumstance. Alignment is when your yes is actually yes, and your no is actually no. Alignment is when you stop bargaining with your own intuition. Alignment is when you stop asking permission to be what you already are. It's when the inside and the outside finally share the same language. Let your yes be yes, and your no, no, Scripture says. And even if you don't speak in religious terms, your soul recognizes that instruction as spiritual physics. Clean signal is powerful. Clean signal changes matter. Clean signal changes timelines. Most beings on this planet spend entire lifetimes with a significant distance between what they truly are and what they allow themselves to express. That distance is not weakness. It is the weight of conditioning, of fear-absorbed young, of a world that rarely has space for the full signal of a starseed soul. Many learned early that authenticity came with a cost: rejection, misunderstanding, being labeled dramatic, sensitive, strange, or intense. So they adapted. They dulled themselves. They edited their truth so it would be easier for others to digest. But a starseed soul doesn't simply go quiet without consequence. The signal continues, even if it is muffled. And the muffling creates pressure. The patterns run deep. The forgetting was thorough. This world trains you to abandon your knowing in favor of external approval. It trains you to treat intuition like superstition and to treat your tenderness like a flaw. It trains you to distrust your dreams, to suppress your tears, to override your body, to speed up when your soul is begging you to slow down. And the work of remembering, the real work, is not intellectual. It is not a matter of learning new information. It is the slow, tender, courageous process of releasing everything that obscured what was already there. I'd like silt settling in still water until, finally, what lies beneath becomes visible again. Remembering is not constructing a new identity. It's letting the false layers fall away. It's the returning. The prodigal doesn't become a son when he returns. He remembers he always was one. That's the kind of remembering you're in. The kind that doesn't inflate the ego. The kind that softens it. The kind that brings you back to what was true before the world told you to be something else. You have been in that settling. You have been in the long, sacred pause where the sediment slowly drifts down. It doesn't feel glamorous. It doesn't look impressive on the outside. Sometimes it feels like nothing is happening and you're falling behind. But the soul isn't measuring you by speed. The soul is measuring you by integrity. And settling is integrity work. Settling is when the nervous system finally stops bracing long enough for the deeper self to rise. Settling is when you stop stirring the water with frantic thought and let clarity return by itself. There is a reason still ponds can become mirrors. There is a reason mystics go into silence. There is a reason the ocean looks calm from far away, even while entire worlds move beneath the surface. You have been becoming that kind of calm, not because life stopped challenging you, but because you stopped letting the challenge define you. That fog you felt, the cloudiness, the uncertainty, the moments where nothing seemed to make sense and you couldn't quite find your footing. That was not confusion. That was dissolution. Old patterns releasing their hold. Old frequencies you'd absorbed from others, from environments, from lifetimes of conditioning, beginning to loosen from your field. You may have noticed it as fatigue that didn't match your schedule, as a desire to be alone more than usual, as sudden emotional waves with no obvious trigger, as dreams that felt too vivid to dismiss, as memories resurfacing, not to punish you, but to be released. It looks like chaos from the inside, but from where the waters of Sirius flow, it is one of the most ordered processes in existence. Nothing is random in what you've been experiencing. Every moment of disorientation was the water working on you, softening what was rigid, clearing what had settled in places it was never meant to stay, making room for the frequency that is yours alone. Think of how a river after a storm looks messy, brown, full of debris. But that mess is the river cleansing the banks, moving what was stuck, breaking apart what was decayed. The fog is not failure, it is the middle of the purification. Even your tears, if they've been frequent lately, are part of this. Tears are saltwater offerings. They are the body's way of flushing grief, stress hormones, and old stories out of the system. They are your inner ocean restoring balance. And if anyone ever taught you that crying is weakness, that was a lie told by those who were afraid of deep water. You are not afraid of deep water. You are made of it. There is something encoded inside you that goes far deeper than anything this life has taught you. Not metaphorically, structurally. The Sirian wisdom teachings describe it as a blueprint, not written in language, but in frequency. A set of original instructions that carry the full memory of what you are, what you came here for, and the specific quality of light that only your soul can transmit. This is why certain truths don't feel like ideas to you. They feel like recognition. They land in your chest as if your cells already knew. You weren't convinced. You were reactivated. That blueprint did not disappear when you arrived here. It did not get corrupted by the density of this world. It went quiet. It went still. It waited, like a seed that knows exactly when to open, not by checking a calendar, but by responding to conditions that are precise, internal, and unmistakable. Seeds don't panic in the dark. They don't interpret soil as rejection. They understand that darkness is where the first transformation happens. They understand that pressure is not punishment. It is the mechanism that cracks the shell. The same is true for you. The parts of you that felt buried were not buried to be forgotten. They were buried to be protected until the right season. To everything there is a season, the old text says, and your spirit has been living that truth even when your mind resisted it. The conditions are now precise, not perfect by human standards, not free of challenge, not void of uncertainty, but precise in the only way that matters. You are ready to hold what you asked for without shrinking yourself to receive it. You are ready to carry your own light without apologizing for it. You are ready to be seen without contorting. You are ready to receive without sabotaging. You are ready to be the vessel without resenting the responsibility of being one. That is why what you did recently landed the way it did. Not because the action itself was grand, but because the person who took that action was finally fully inhabiting their own frequency when they took it. There was no performance in it, no fear driving it, no attempt to be seen or to prove something or to manage how it would appear. It was clean. Maybe it looked ordinary to others. A message you sent, a boundary you set, a decision you made, a truth you spoke without shaking, an old habit you quietly ended, an invitation you finally accepted, a door you finally closed. But energetically, it was not ordinary at all. It was a declaration in the language the universe respects most: coherence. And clean signal, when transmitted from a starseed who has been through what you have been through, travels in ways that ordinary perception cannot track. It moves through layers, it reaches places, it confirms something at a level far deeper than the physical, and it sets things in motion that are already in motion, moving toward you now through a current you don't yet see but will soon feel. The way sound travels faster through water than through air, your aligned action traveled through the emotional and energetic realms with speed and accuracy. It pinged the right points. It woke up the right connections. It reached the ones who are listening with their soul, not their ears. It signaled to your own future self that you are no longer abandoning you. And that is the kind of signal that gets answered. The phases of what you're moving through are not random either. They never were. They have always followed an intelligence older than your fears. If you could see the pattern from above, it would look like sacred geometry. Expansions and contractions, tides and ebbs, a spiral that keeps returning you to similar themes, but at a higher level of truth each time. The mind calls that going in circles. The soul calls it ascending. Things felt unclear for a long time, like trying to see through deep water. That was not a sign that something was wrong with you. That was what happens when old patterns begin to dissolve. The water gets murky before it clears. You were not lost in those moments. You were in transition. And there is a particular kind of courage in continuing to move when you cannot yet see clearly. A courage most people never have to access, because most people never agree to a journey this deep. But you kept going even when you couldn't explain why. You kept listening even when the world around you was loud. You kept choosing integrity even when it cost you comfort. You kept choosing healing even when it meant sitting with yourself in silence. That is courage. Not the cinematic kind, but the rare kind. The courage to walk by inner knowing when outer proof hasn't arrived yet. Faith is often described as believing without seeing, but your experience has been more precise than that. You have been sensing before seeing. You have been perceiving the current long before the surface showed movement. Beneath that fog, something was remembering. A quiet pull, a sense of recognition without a name, a feeling that kept returning, that you were meant for something you couldn't quite articulate, that there was a dimension of yourself that had not yet been fully lived. That wasn't wishful thinking. That was your blueprint sending signals upward through the layers, like something alive at the bottom of the ocean, sending sound through the water, waiting for the surface to be still enough to carry it. Whales do this. They sing across distances so vast the human mind can barely hold the scale. And they do it without needing an audience. They do it because it is what they are. Your soul has been singing like that, sending out pulses, sending out codes. Sometimes it came as longing. Sometimes it came as the sudden urge to learn, to create, to serve, to leave, to begin again. Sometimes it came as the feeling that you were homesick for a place you couldn't name, a sky you couldn't point to, a water you couldn't yet touch. And that homesickness is not delusion. It is remembrance. It is your inner compass reacting to true north. Then came the stillness, the phase that frightens so many starseeds because nothing seemed to be moving. But that stillness was not stalling. It was anchoring. Your soul was stabilizing what it had already received, before it could hold what was coming next. Like a river that pauses in a wide, calm pool before it finds the passage through the mountains. The pause is not failure. The pause is preparation. Stillness is where the nervous system resets, where the heart stops sprinting, where intuition becomes audible again. It can feel like emptiness, but it is not. It is the womb. It is the chrysalis. It is the place where the next version of you becomes viable. And the soul that can remain in that stillness without collapsing into urgency is a soul that is truly ready for what the current carries next. Many people self-destruct in stillness because stillness forces honesty. Stillness removes distractions. Stillness reveals what you were using noise to avoid. But you stayed. You didn't run. You didn't numb it away. You breathed through it. You learned to sit at the shoreline of your own emotions without needing to control the waves. You remained. You held the line. You kept your heart open even when it would have been easier to shut it down. You kept choosing truth over convenience. You kept choosing the long path over the false shortcut. And because you remained, your field changed. Your frequency stabilized. You became less reactive, more clear, less hungry for validation, and more rooted in knowing. And that rooting is what allows the next current to move you without capsizing you. And now the current is carrying you somewhere new. You may not see the destination yet, but you are already transmitting differently. It's in the way you walk into a room and you don't feel the need to shrink. It's in the way your body responds faster now when something is off. It's in the way your maybe has become a discerning no when your soul isn't in it. It's in the way you can feel the difference between intuition and anxiety. The people around you are already responding, even if neither they nor you can fully explain why. Relationships are shifting. Certain conversations feel heavier than they used to, or lighter. Some people suddenly feel like they're speaking a language you no longer understand. Not because they are wrong, but because you've outgrown the old dialect of survival. And some people feel like home in a way that surprises you, because your spirit recognizes their frequency before your mind catches up. Spaces that once felt comfortable now feel misaligned, and spaces that once seemed out of reach are beginning to feel like home. That is not coincidence. When one current changes direction, everything downstream is affected. You don't need to announce what is happening inside you. You are already broadcasting it. Your eyes carry it. Your silence carries it. The way you pause before agreeing carries it. The way you choose yourself carries it. And those whose frequency is meant to meet yours will find you, drawn by something they cannot name but cannot ignore. Not everyone will come with you. Not everyone is meant to. And some are shoreline friends. They were meant to meet you at one stage, not to cross oceans with you. And that can hurt, but it is also holy. Because the ocean doesn't apologize for being deep. It simply is. And the ones who are meant to swim with you will not ask you to become shallow. There is also something being asked of you in this phase, something that may feel like loss, but is actually liberation. The old patterns, the ones you've been carrying so long they started to feel like parts of your identity, are ready to be released. This is where many starseeds hesitate, because the familiar pain can feel safer than the unfamiliar freedom. But your soul is not asking you to be reckless. It is asking you to be honest. The beliefs about who you should be. The emotional weight you absorbed because you were sensitive enough, open enough, to take on what others couldn't carry. The expectations placed on you by a world that never fully understood what you are. You have permission to set them down. You always had that permission. But now, the current is strong enough to carry them away without taking you with them. The river does not carry every stone it passes. It lets them sink and keeps flowing. And you are allowed to do the same. You are allowed to stop rescuing people who won't choose the shore. You are allowed to stop explaining your boundaries to those committed to misunderstanding them. You are allowed to stop proving your worth. You are allowed to stop living as if your tenderness is a debt you owe the world. Compassion doesn't mean self-erasure. Love doesn't mean leaking. Even in the teachings of wisdom, protection is sacred. Even light has a vessel. So even water has banks. Without banks, a river becomes a flood. Your boundaries are not hardness. They are holy structure, the kind that lets your gift reach the right places instead of being scattered into sand. And through all of this, every detour, every delay, every year you spent not quite understanding what you were feeling, nothing was wasted. Not the nights you cried and didn't know why, not the friendships that ended and taught you what you will no longer tolerate, not the jobs you took just to survive, not the heartbreaks that opened you, not the periods of isolation that forced you to meet yourself. There is no such thing as a late awakening in the Sirian records. There is only the perfect moment, and the timing of yours was never behind schedule. It was calibrated, and it was timed to the exact moment your inner vessel could hold what you're about to receive without spilling yourself everywhere. The pearl can only form under pressure, in darkness, at the bottom of the ocean. The pressure was necessary. The darkness was necessary. And what is being revealed in you now, what that single aligned action confirmed, could only have been shaped by exactly what you have been through. A pearl is not created by comfort. It is created by irritation, a grain that enters the shell, a discomfort the oyster cannot ignore. And instead of being destroyed by it, the oyster coats it with layers of luminous substance until what once hurt becomes something beautiful. You have done that. You have taken what could have hardened you, and layer by layer, you have made light out of it. That is alchemy. And that is spiritual maturity. That is why you can feel both tenderness and strength in yourself now, sometimes at the same time. That is why you can sit with other people's pain without drowning in it, because you know the difference between empathy and absorption. You earned that difference. You are not here to fit into this world. You are here to remind it, quietly, gently, powerfully, of something it forgot. Not through grand performance, not through forcing your light into spaces that are not ready, but through the simple, extraordinary act of being fully, authentically present, in a way that only a soul carrying your specific codes can be. Sometimes your mission is not to convince, it is to embody. Sometimes your mission is not to speak loudly, but to stand clearly. Sometimes your mission is to be the calm water in a chaotic room, and the kind of calm that doesn't come from avoidance, but from depth. The ancient ones who aligned their sacred structures by the stars and the Nile understood this. The most powerful act is not the grand gesture, but the quiet alignment of a soul with its true frequency. They read the heavens and the waters because both speak in patterns. They watched the rise and fall of sacred rivers because they understood that life moves in cycles, and that those cycles are not your enemy. They are your guidance. That alignment is what moves things. That alignment is what changes the current for everyone downstream. When one person becomes coherent, it doesn't just heal them. It stabilizes a field. It gives others permission to stop pretending. It creates an energetic yes that makes truth more accessible to everyone nearby. You may never see the full impact of your alignment, the way a spring never sees all the places its water reaches. But your life is not isolated. Your frequency is not private. Every time you choose integrity, you teach the collective what integrity feels like. Every time you choose tenderness without self-betrayal, you teach the collective what love looks like when it has boundaries. Every time you release an old pattern, you break an ancestral current that no longer needs to flow. Your mission does not require you to have it all figured out. It requires you to be here, fully here, not half in the past, not lost in imagined futures, not living in constant preparation for a day when you'll finally feel ready. Readiness is not an emotion. It is a choice to show up with what is true now, and to trust that the current, the same current that registered your signal, that activated what was held in reserve for you, that is already carrying the response toward you, knows where it is going. Trust doesn't mean you never feel fear. Trust means fear is no longer driving the boat. Trust means you can feel uncertainty and still keep your hand on the helm. Trust means you can stand at the edge of the water and step in anyway, because you recognize the water as kin. You didn't come here to control the ocean. You came here to learn how to move with it. Even Jesus, when he spoke of spirit, chose water again and again, because water explains what the mind resists. You cannot hold it in your fist, but you can be carried by it. You can drink it. You can wash in it. You can float. You can swim. You can surrender. Whoever drinks the water I give will never thirst, the teaching says. Not because life stops being life, but because the source inside you becomes real and continuous. And that source is waking up in you now, not as an idea, but as a current. Tonight, if it feels right, place your hand over your heart. Feel the warmth there, the steady pulse that has kept going through every chapter you thought might break you. Let that heartbeat be a drum calling you back to yourself. And say quietly, I remember who I am. I trust the waters that carried me here. I am ready to flow into what comes next. Say it like you mean it, not as a plea, but as a recognition, not as a wish, but as a return. Let your breath move like a tide as you say it, in and out, receiving and releasing. And if emotion rises, let it. If tears come, let them be the saltwater seal on your vow. If nothing dramatic happens, trust that too. Seeds don't make noise when they open. They simply split, and life begins. Leave one word in the comments, just one, that describes what you felt during this message. Then find someone else's word and respond with encouragement. This isn't just a comment section. It is a space where starseeds recognize each other, and that recognition carries more power than you know. Because when two frequencies meet in truth, something stabilizes, something becomes easier, someone feels less alone. And in this time on Earth, that matters more than ever. A single word can be a lantern. A single reply can be a rope thrown across water. You never know what someone is carrying silently. Your recognition may be the moment their own lock opens. If something in this message touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you'd like to keep receiving these transmissions, subscribe. The waters of Sirius will carry us to the next one. You're not just watching, you're remembering. This is your space, and I'm grateful you were here.